Today we're gonna be answering a Reddit question. So hey guys, I really appreciate you hopping on the channel. Today from Reddit in the PostgreSQL Reddit channel, Reddit forum, Mr. Miyagi asked a question which I just answered. You can see my answer right here. But let's take a look at the question, and I wanted to showcase how to find a solution to this problem to you guys as well. So the question is extracting the values of a nested array in JSON for PostgreSQL. So mainly the essence is Mr. Miyagi or Miss Miyagi has JSON stored in JSON data column, and the JSON has an array line items in which there are multiple array items, and they could be JSON object themselves. What Mr. Miyagi or Miss Miyagi is saying is that, hey, I want to extract inside the array, I want to extract the quantity, name, and total money, whatever are the values for these keys. So mainly it's a question about how do we go about extracting data from an array of JSON object nested inside JSON. Okay, so let's just briefly read this. Hi all, I'm trying to extract the values of a nested array inside JSON in PostgreSQL, but not sure how. I know how to extract JSON item and also how to extract arrays. That's good, but haven't been able to get the nested array out values. I found one example that supposedly shows how to do this, but haven't been able to get it to work. Here's an example. The following JSON falls under a field called JSON data. There is an array under order called line item. Okay, we can see line item here. Each item in line item has multiple fields, quantity, name, total money, etc. Cool, awesome. Extracting top level variable order ID is easy. Okay, pretty cool. But I'm not sure how to go about extracting all the variables under the array line item, specifically quantity, name, total money. I'd be grateful for any help. Awesome. So before we even get started, I'd really appreciate if you guys smash the like button and give us a subscribe. By the way, if you want all your posts, all the hints, all the tips, all the code to be sent to your inbox directly, you should subscribe to Teachmedatabase. It would also mean a lot to me because it will prove that the work I'm doing is being appreciated and people actually value that. So all you have to do is go to Teachmedatabase. You can just browse through the post. If you want, you can just go subscribe, and there you are in. Okay, you became a member. So let's get back over here. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna copy all the JSON. By the way, it doesn't look like JSON because there is like a single quote. JSON normally has double quotes. So what I'm gonna do is copy all the JSON object, and I'm going to open this new VS Code editor. As you can see, here is our JSON. Nothing fancy. What we're gonna do is we're gonna use VS Code editor's functionality to remove, or actually I should say replace, single quote with double quote, which is the JSON proper structure. One more thing I want to do is over here you can see there are a lot of new lines. I don't want new lines, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the regex on and then do a new line. I found a new line. I'm going to replace all new line with nothing, blank, and there we have it. This is our JSON. Now I'm going to do, I already did it here, but I'm going to do again. We have this side JSON lint, JSON validator is pretty cool, and it's going to help us validate the JSON to make sure before adding that it actually is a JSON. And over here it looks like the result it's a valid JSON. Awesome. So now you can see like there is an order, then there is location ID source, which Miyagi Jr. was able to extract pretty well, but inside the line item array we have multiple items through which or from which he wants to extract or she wants to extract quantity, name, and total money. All right, and total money itself is another nested JSON, and that's what he wants to extract for each of the array item. All right, what I'm going to do is I will come over here. I will create a new table data. You can name it anything. So before creating, I'm going to drop previous work which I could have done. Then I will create a table data with a column name JSON data. Reason being, Miyagi Jr. is also saying that JSON data is a field inside the column. So the type is JSON, pretty simple. I'm going to create this table now, and as you can see, it has been created. I'm going to do an insert into the JSON data inside this table. It's pretty simple. I'm just going to paste the whole JSON, okay, which we got from VS Code. Remember this one. Now I'm also going to close my VS Code because it's not needed. One thing you would see that right now my IDE, which is DataGrip, is throwing an error saying, hey, I don't know what this is. The reason because when you are inserting a JSON, you have to put single quote around it. And there we have it. The error is resolved. The issue, the hint is not throwing an error. So we are going to insert this JSON into our table. As you can see over here, the JSON has been added. That is pretty cool. Before we move ahead, I want to give you a primer, or I want to give you an insight into 3 or 4 of the operators and functions provided by JSON in PostgreSQL. Now, if you don't know it in detail, don't worry too much about it. In successive video, this is just answering Reddit question video, right? I'm just trying to solve a problem as fast as I can. But basics will be covered as well. I'll create more videos in the future going into detail into JSON operators function. We'll be taking a look into the source code, which is in C, and understand how does Postgres actually work to handle JSON objects, okay? And that's gonna help us understand JSON and its operator like in much more detail. All right, but for the scope of this problem, we are just going to take a look into these few operators and this one function. Okay, so let me go to the browser and we're gonna open up JSON functions and operator. Awesome. So I am on the latest current version, which is 13, although 14 beta has been released. Don't worry too much about it. Just says 9.6 JSON function and operator, processing and creating data, blah blah blah. So these are operators which you can use to extrapolate or extract the JSON content. So one thing to keep in mind is when you add this double, like one more greater than, then it returns whatever is the return value, it is the text. But if you don't use double greater than, then it mainly returns you a JSON object. Okay, so here what they are saying is, hey, if you want to extract nth element of JSON array, you pass an integer, it's going to return you a JSON which is stored in the 0, 1, 2, mainly third place, which is this one. Not useful for us because we need to work with keys. Then we have JSON text JSON. What this does is you provide it a JSON key, which is like A, and this is more useful for nested JSON none arrays, and it's gonna return the value, which is B foo. Now again, same thing. What they're saying is, hey, if you want to convert JSON into a text, best to use greater than, which I already mentioned. The same exact thing is explained here, but the only difference is here it returns a text and here it returns a JSON. Now what is very interesting is this operator, which is, I would say, hash and then greater than. If there's a better name for that, you guys can let me know. But this operator, what it does is it extracts the sub object at the specified path. You can specify the path by mainly using a single quote, and inside the single quote, close single quote, you provide kind of like a middle bracket, and you go through each of the nested keys. So here I will go through A. So in A, then I am building this path, whole path. And then we have B. I went to B, and then through B I got this array, and then go to 1. That means 0 and then 1, which is bar. So this is very interesting because that will help us go deep inside a nested JSON without having to worry too much about the index, without having to worry about too much about writing multiple operators for gathering the nested details. So JSON array element is a JSON processing function provided by PostgreSQL. By the way, again, I'm going to cover these into much detail and we will take a look into source code, but not in this video. Here we have JSON array element. What it does, it expands the top level JSON array into a set of JSON values. So it will take whatever is your top label. For example, here the top label would be 1, true, and this whole array. It will take all of those and it will put them into different rows for you. All right, pretty cool. So having said that, these are mainly gonna be the operators. Actually, I can just remove this. These are mainly gonna be 3 operators which we would be using. Again, you can use the last operator which I removed, this one as well, which you can also use, but it doesn't take the path. But we want to do it in more succinct way, so I would not be using that. First thing I want to do is I want to extract, as per Mr. Miyagi problem, I want to extract the line item array from this. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. Select something from data. Okay, pretty simple. Let me make it a bit bigger. Select something from data. All right, and what would be that something? So JSON data, which is a JSON, and now we're gonna do it. Let's try. I want to extract the order. I want to go to order, then line item, and whatever is available. I want you to provide me that. So you can do. Let's go to here. We'll use like single quote around, and then we will go to order. Okay, and then we will go to let's take a look into the JSON. We have order, inside order we have line item. Pretty cool. All right, I'm just gonna copy paste and let's see what happens. All right, so we got the array. Okay, and the array is line item array. Now what I want to do is, for all these array items, I want to have these items available as rows so that I can iterate through the rows, or I can add a query which can operate on each of these rows. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy and wrap everything we have here, and actually it should be element, not element. Okay, it's not a singular. Let's see what happens. All right, now this array which we are seeing over here, which was just one array of JSON, has been divided. I'm gonna close this. This has been divided into multiple array element JSON. Pretty cool, I love it. Right. So what it does, it divides the array into respective array elements on that particular level, on that particular hierarchy, and now we have rows of array elements, and now we can add operators which operate on all the rows. All right, so now having this in hand, we can utilize it as a nested array, but here I'm going to use common table expression. So if you remember common table expression, by the way, if you don't, I will cover it in future videos. With JSON data, actually JSON data itself is JSON data array as this. So now we have our common table expression which we can utilize across this whole query. Pretty cool. I'm going to just let it be here. Okay, and let me do this, and now we will do whatever we want to do. All right, so from this JSON I want to gather firstly quantity. All right, let's gather the quantity. So this is JSON. Actually, let's see the column name, JSON array element. Okay, so select JSON array element, and then we will use pretty much similar operator which we utilize here, and just provide one path. Okay, again, if you want, you can also use this one, okay, or this one, but we don't need to. So here we'll provide a path which is pretty much quantity. Okay, let's see what happens. Missing from clause select. Oh crap, I have to, let me put it in single line. Okay, come on man, you can't forget in the table. Alright, there we go. So now we have the column, alright, which is quantities value. Pretty sick. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to use this extra greater than, which is gonna give me these values not in JSON but in text, and there we go, we have quantity available. Next thing what we can do, and of course you can be fancy about it and wrap it in a function or whatever. I don't want to do that. I just want to solve the problem in the simplest manner possible while making it easy to understand. Now we go JSON data this. Next thing which Mr. Miyagi wanted was name. Okay, so let's see, name is also on the same hierarchy. All we have to do is name. Let's see. Awesome, we got like name, and we can provide it as name as quantity. All right, so now we have quantity, name. What else Mr. Miyagi wanted? Miyagi Jr. Total, by the way, Mr. Miyagi Jr. or Miss, I love the name. It just cracks me up. And then we have total money. Now total money is interesting because as you see over here, let me make it a bit bigger. Total money is okay, this is not gonna work. Let's go over here. Total money is inside each array element, and it itself returns a JSON. Okay, it itself returns an object. Okay, so pretty simple. We're gonna use the same methodology we used, and actually I'm just going to copy this whole thing. By the way, we don't need to do this, like we don't need to add the table name over here, but I added just for safety and it's easy to understand. So now we have JSON data array. What I want to do is I want to gather the total money. Let's see what total money returns first. Okay, so total money return a text. I don't want it to return a text. I want to return a JSON so that I can operate further on the JSON. Total money, and we can provide the path pretty much right here. So it could be amount. And if you do this, actually if you do it this way, you could add it. You could add the text operator. Awesome, we got the total money amount. All right, now if you want to be fancy, okay, what you can do is you can concatenate this with I think there was a currency. Yeah, okay, as amount. Okay, awesome. Let's see. Oh, this is a text. What is it saying? Operator does not exist. Text unknown. All right, cool. So we probably would have to wrap it up like this. Okay, let's see. Awesome. One more thing I will add is a space in between, and let's run our query now. Okay, all right, so we got the quantity, we got the name, we got the total amount, and that's pretty much what Mr. Miyagi Jr. wanted. Quantity, name, total money. Awesome, so it's solved. So let's take a final look. Firstly, what I did was I defined this. Let me break this down into lines. I defined this common table expression, which is, you can think of common table expression as just like a reusable subquery, reusable query, not subquery. So what I did was I used this JSON array element function provided by JSON, PostgreSQL JSON, which you can read about right over here. and I'm gonna add this whole documentation in the link. And in the future, I'm also gonna create in-depth information, in-depth video about these operators and function. But what we did was we extracted first of all the line items from the column, from the JSON column, which was a nested array. Then we gathered that nested array and broke the nested array down into rows with the help of JSON array elements. Having gathered that and having all those array JSON array objects spread across in rows, now we can utilize that as a table and apply JSON operators on that. So that's pretty much what we did. We applied this operator, which mainly lets you provide a path. For quantity, the path was pretty much like quantity. You could also do this. Let's see. All right, so that also worked, and we could provide it as we could convert it as text. All right, and instead of this, also you could also do this. So the one with hash is used for path. You'd have to provide the path inside middle braces. But here we don't need to use that. So now we have this. Whoops, something is going wrong. Okay, we have to remove the middle brackets, middle braces. All right, there we go. So now we have the item. Now for the last one, which is kind of the total money and amount, which is a deeply nested JSON object, we are using a path where we are saying, hey, go into total money, then go into amount, and whatever is the value, return. And here we are being fancy and just adding the total amount with the currency and adding, with a concatenation and adding a space in between. There we go, we solved the problem. If you want access to this code, I will urge you to subscribe here, and then you can have access to everything I do. All right, I really appreciate you guys hopping on this video.